The Project. Kuwait. Learn. Live.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of The Project. And in today's episode, we are joined by Reese and Reem. They are from Yalla Move, Kuwait. It's an event happening on April 12th. And I think it's an event for everyone, right, Meg?
April 12th at Al Shahid Park, and the only requirement is that you have a body. So it's for everybody.
You have a body, and you could go to the link in their bio. Purchasing the all-day ticket gives you access to what they said, 8 classes.
8 different workshops, and they can be anything from breath work to martial art kind of influences, some coordinations, some dancing, a lot of fun stuff. So yeah, 8 workshops in total, I think there was. 8
workshops. I mean, it's a total steal. And plus, all the donations go to a charitable contribution, which I think is the most important thing, which is amazing.
Yeah, it goes to Masaka Kids Africana, which is an orphanage of kids, and they empower and do a lot with their education, using dance as kind of the tool to empower them. So yeah, a lot of local connection to that charity, and it is movement based. So it's a great thing to support and come out and kind of explore what you can do in your own body, empower yourself.
Yeah, so stay tuned to this episode, guys, and see how you can help Yalla Move Kuwait and raise awareness for movement in all different categories.
All this and more in today's episode.
Yalla.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the podcast. And we are going to talk about Meg's wheelhouse, I guess. Right, Meg?
Movement Meg, yeah. So we're joined by Reese and Reem, and they are starting up a cool event in Kuwait called Yalla Move. And I'm having major FOMO hearing about this and learning about it from all the way over in the States. So I'm excited to have you guys on to talk more about what you're doing.
Yeah, guys. It's awesome to have you guys on. You guys are launching Yalla Move, second week of April? April 12th, if I'm not mistaken?
April 12th.
All right. So how did Yalla Move start? I mean, you guys all kind of had the concept going from, I mean, Meg, you knew about the concept before, right? Like this was...
The movement concept?
Yeah, the movement concept. It started in the Copenhagen thing or something? Like, I'm out of the loop, guys.
For me, it started Copenhagen.
Movement,
but
yeah, for Reese, it started in Copenhagen. For Reese, it started when he met me.
Yes. It was like plain, boom, stamp.
I taught Reese everything he knows. No, I'm kidding. Copenhagen puts on an incredible movement event every summer. And I know a lot of friends that present there that I've met through the movement culture, my time studying with Ido Portal and Josef Rusek, Fighting Monkey. And so, Reese, I know you went to the event and you got to actually experience it and I think kind of play around with some of those.
Yes, all of the concepts there. The groups are beautiful. Yeah. Lots of parkour, lots of slacklining. So this is definitely an inspiring experience for me to dive into the different concepts within movement that we can apply across the board. And yeah, mind games, lots of mind games. So this is fun.
And Reem, you're a yoga teacher, correct?
I'm a yoga teacher,
So how did you guys two link up? How did you link up with this idea, just out of curiosity?
Okay, so I'm a yoga teacher. I hit a plateau in my practice and I started exploring these new sort of movement modalities I started hearing about. I started following certain movers on Instagram and thought, well, maybe movement, calisthenics, something like that will help me kind of break through these little physical barriers I was experiencing. Actually, when I contacted Reese because I wanted to improve my hand balancing because I couldn't do all the, yoga asanas that had, hand balancing. So contacted Reese when he was still working at the borough and started doing training sessions with him. And during sessions, we'd chat about movement and Reese introduced me to other movers. And when I was in Sydney, I did a workshop with Josef Rusek, Fighting Monkey, was super inspired by that. And and Move Copenhagen, I haven't been, but it was on my radar to go. And then Reese went, and when he came back, he said, oh, it's an awesome festival. And I said, we should try and do something like that here in Kuwait. And it really came out of a conversation. And then we started talking about it with other friends and other people were like, oh, that's a good idea. We'd like to be involved. And it sort of started like that, really.
Yes. It was really organic, to be perfectly honest. And then I feel the more we spoke about it, the more we were saying, okay, we can make this happen. This is something that we can actually bring to Kuwait. And make a community within Kuwait to move within. So yeah, it's been fun. The journey is fun. I'm excited for Yalla Move.
So what is Yalla Move? What's it going to be? I mean, all right, I'm planning on going. I'm definitely going to come down for the event. I've already put it in my calendar.
Boom.
So I'll be there. Hopefully I'll be there podcasting too.
Yes.
You know, like meeting some of these cool movement people, these gurus, whatever you guys are bringing. So what's it all about?
It's a festival that celebrates diversity in movement. And we're still like a small festival. Like we just sort of, the wheels in motion in December. So we put together a program of movement workshops and mostly local teachers.
Mostly local. We have some visiting teachers as well. But in terms of the practices that we brought in for this first time ever in Kuwait, we have a couple different forms of yoga. So we have electro yoga. We have some fusions with Muay Thai and yoga. We have parkour. We have capoeira, which is a Brazilian martial art, which incorporates almost like a tribal dancing vibe, but with flips and kicks and big jumps. It's a very explosive art. More than that, we have at least 8 different workshops happening, and we're going to finish with something called a flow jam.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds sweet, dude. What's that all about?
A flow jam. So there's an area of the movement culture which is to do with flowing, like with poise. So it'd be spinning. There's, to explain poi, Meg, I feel you are the one. To explain poi, it's ropes and then a ball attached to the end of the ropes.
Damn it, you can cut out for a second.
And you can move your wrist to create different shapes and flow. If you've seen someone twirl fire before, very similar concept.
Okay, all right. I'm picking up. It's kind of like what they do in gymnastics in the Olympics, right? Almost, but with string and balls.
No, not ribbon dancing.
Not ribbon dancing. Not ribbon dancing.
Thanks for saving me there, Meg. Yeah, I was waiting for Meg to jump in at some point. Meg, you gotta save me on these things, dude. Like, I do CrossFit and bodybuilding. That's it. Okay.
Oh, that was fun to watch. Oh, that's hilarious. No, not like ribbon dancing at all, but it's kind of like circus aligned. Like there's a lot of circus arts, I think, that are kind of like, unique to it.
Yes.
That might be a better way.
Hula hoops. And I don't know. We'll see who turns up to that one. That's more like...
That's actually a good segue into my next question. Who's it for? Can I bring my 4-year-old? Can DJ come? Will I be able to go as like a bodybuilding CrossFit / guy that has horrible movement patterns?
Of course. You got to try new things, right? It's all about trying new movement patterns and celebrating movement.
Seeing how they, honestly, I feel that movement is for everyone, and all of these different arts that we are bringing into one place, it's not so much about committing to one art. And I feel this is the great thing about movement diversity, is that there's principles in every movement practice that can be carried across the board, completely carried into, for example, for me, one liberating thing that I tried was slacklining. Slacklining is a barefoot sport where you're walking across a tightrope. And the lessons I learned from this carried over to me improving my squat.
Really? I might try that out.
So these kind of principles can be adapted across the board. And it's just small things that the body will learn, new patterns, new ways to think within the movement. So I see it as for everyone.
It's interesting. Like I've mentioned it to other fitness trainers, and they'd say, "Oh, we'll come to Yalla Move Kuwait to support it, but we're horrible at all the things you're offering." And I think it's good to try things that you're bad at.
100%.
You'll get better at it.
100%. I mean, I tell people all the time, like, you want to practice what you're horrible at. You practice what you suck at, and I mean, I think we've said that a bunch of times on the show, right, Meg, where if you suck at a movement or if you suck at something, that means you need to practice it more. And if it's something that's always in your wheelhouse, you need to step out of your comfort zone.
There's so much to learn from each discipline, as I think Reese was kind of like leading into. And especially for me, I know I got to a point where I was a CrossFitter, I was a weightlifter, and it kind of got to the point like maxing out on a snatch lift. I had hit my goal that I had been chasing for a while, and the bar came down, and I was just kind of like, now what? Like I have to do another 8-week like squat cycle like to get 5 more pounds on the bar maybe. I was kind of disappointed with that. And that's where I started to become a little bit more curious of like, I'm really good moving in straight lines and like up and down and forwards and back, like 90-degree angles, so what else can my body do? And I was terrified to jump into the movement stuff because I'm not a gymnast. I'm not things. So it's easy to be like kind of intimidated by some of the stuff that you see in these different movement practices, like martial arts, the gymnastic type, the artsy type, the creative kind of flow and dance stuff. It's intimidating. But once you start and you get into it and you kind of open your eyes to that world of it and you let yourself sit in some of that awkwardness, it made a huge difference then when I did decide to go back and do some strength training and do the weightlifting and things like that. Like I know I took a year completely off of doing, just very strict, going way back to the basics and doing very strict movements, for my joints as far as strength building and stuff goes, but then also allowing myself the time to play, like roll around, to get upside down, to, twist my body in different places and kind of practice all those alignments that we're told that we shouldn't go into. And you start to see that those places are only dangerous if you've really unprepared your body for it, if you haven't let yourself ever go there. So then when you do get under a heavy load, let's say you're going back to the strength training, you're going back to maybe your yoga poses or whatever it was you felt like you were kind of plateauing in, you have this whole new body awareness and this whole new concept.
A lot of what you were saying, Mehdi and I were actually speaking about the other day, which is about linear movements and then changing this perspective on how our joints can actually articulate themselves. And for me, a big thing has become, how can I move better in a circle? How can I move better in a spiral? How can I move better in a wave? And the small intrinsic patterns that we can create, because a circle has degrees and we can find each tiny degree within that movement pattern by moving in a circular motion or moving in a spiraling motion or a waving motion. The spine, there's 33 vertebrae in the spine.
Yeah.
So they should be able to, it shouldn't just be commonly seen in the lifting section of fitness, is that it's thoracic spine, sacral spine, and lumbar spine. Boom. And these are sections. But within those, we have small vertebrae that can isolate themselves. And for strength training, of course, to isolate those larger sections is much more important. But to know how to move each vertebrae and say, okay, I want to move my L4 right now, and I'm going to make a small tweak right there and see where the pressure goes in my spine or see where it activates my glutes. Knowing how to wave, which Meg completely does every day. So,
spinal waves. And that's the thing, is when your spine is warm, the entire body can move and can play with it. And you're absolutely right. Like when it comes to like the lifting world, especially, we're taught all the time, brace your back, tight back, nice and straight, nice and stiff, going to pick things up. But it's like, you practice that for the heavy weights, absolutely. But when it comes time to day to day and going to do things, like how often when you go to just pick something up from the floor, are you really like taking the time to set up like you're going to max out for a deadlift? Like it's not that often. But if you can, manipulate your spine and you can get that mobility and keep the spine warm, when you go to bend and pick things up, like you're not at much of a risk. And this goes for any of the joints, really. Like you're not at much of a risk to hurt yourself when you go out of that perfect alignment, if you can teach your body that it's safe there. And it really comes down to like your nervous system feeling okay, in those positions and in that place. But being able to articulate those vertebrae is such a huge piece that can alleviate. I mean, if you start there with just learning how to manipulate your spine a little bit more, it can alleviate things going on with your knees, things going on with your hips, things going on with your neck, your shoulders. I mean, it all starts there. So it's, your spine is the biggest part of your core. I think that people miss. They think it's all the six packs. And I think the spine is the biggest piece that people really struggle with. And you look at all the back problems. I mean, look at how much time people sit, at their desk jobs or in their car or at their duanias, and whatever it is. And there's so much impact on that spine and so much limited mobility. If you can start to manipulate how your spine can move, you're going to find a whole new world open up for you and how you feel in your body.
I feel that brings me on to say one more thing as well, which is if anyone wants to improve their movement, move your spine every morning, single morning. Get it
every morning,
flowing it to a point where it starts to feel like water. If the spine feels like water, it sounds very Bruce Lee, very but really and honestly, if it can feel like it's if it's waving and it's just rocking, almost like how you'd rock a baby, this kind of softness to it, then so much can change.
I think you guys brought up some really good points because, like, ever since I got into the whole CrossFit thing and lifting, you know, doing more squats, more deadlifts, and bracing my back and everything, it's the only time, like, my back gets stiff. Like, my back is insanely stiff if I'm sitting all day at work or, you know, if I'm driving, it just stiffens up pretty quick. And it takes me a while to warm up and, you know, just get everything moving well. And Reese knows that I was a gymnast before. Mm-hmm. I was a kid. I was a gymnast, went into diving.
Perfect lines.
But the thing is, you wouldn't see it out of me. I look nothing like a gymnast. But I think when you incorporate the movements you guys are talking about in spinal fluidity, so to speak, I mean, it makes a hell of a difference. I realize it when I just stand up at my desk and I twist my back, twist around to either side and just kind of move, you know, groove the joints a little bit. Yes. And I feel great, especially after a run. If I run for 15 minutes before I lift, I feel a lot better. I feel looser, especially my back.
That's something really important too, of just that gentle movement. We forget so much about that especially when you're in that space where you're looking for a change to your body or something like that. And so, you know, you think the route is lift heavier, run faster, move harder, you know,
Make
kind of a thing. Like
faces.
I should be, you know, in a puddle on the floor every single time. Yeah, things like that. And you forget that gentle movement and the rotation of the joints is so important for their strength, for their stability. It's not just the mobility thing. And people will talk about that. They get into positions and they feel tight and they feel like shit when they go to lift. And they're like, oh, it's my mobility. I'm just not flexible. It's some of that, but your body is going to tighten up around the areas where it doesn't feel stable, where it doesn't feel, you know, really strong. And there's a lot of those little small muscles and nerves and stuff within those joints that are going to tighten up because the big ones are the only ones that are, you know, getting some love or being worked. And so it's like that gentle movement is so important, not only to warm up the body, but I think after putting on some physical stress of the harder movements and stuff, like don't forget to take whatever range you have and start moving with it and you know, get curious about it, exploring that. And a lot of it comes down to your nervous system and taking care of that and getting it to kind of loosen up around those areas where it feels really tight, if that makes sense.
Well, we've got a lot of mobility workshops at Yalla Move.
I was just going to throw that out there. I was going to say now for a bodybuilder, all right, because we have a lot of bodybuilders that listen to the show, and a CrossFitter because we, you know, those are like some of our main segments right now. So what the benefits that they're going to take away from this is basically learning how to move a little bit better before they can go into a workout so that they have that fluidity through the joints and everything. Now, when they get there, are there going to be beginner classes? Because if you get a bodybuilder coming into a movement class or, you know, a movement workshop, they ain't going to be moving to, you know, a lot of bodybuilders shy away from it, or at least my friends would shy away from it because they're like, I'm not going to go do yoga because I can't get into these poses. I'm nowhere near it. So it took me a while. Sorry, go ahead, Meg.
Maddie, I was actually really surprised there. I used to cover the pumped classes that you guys had at the Burrows, like the bodybuilding ones. Yep. And I used to always work in some of the weird movement stuff, spinal waves and rotations and all that kind of weird flowy stuff. And they ate it up and they loved it. So I think that a bodybuilder is curious enough maybe about how their body moves or how it looks and things that I think, yeah, they can be really intrigued by it. But jumping into something like yoga is probably a little bit more intimidating. But I think there's good ways that yoga teachers, and I'm sure who you guys have doing the workshops, it's kind of a scalable thing where it can be, no matter what your experience is, there's something everybody can do, no?
Well, the yoga teacher who's coming, one of our guest teachers is actually an Australian yoga teacher, and he's teaching a class later in the day because it's a full day festival. And he always, the way he does it is he always gives you different, you know, modifications.
Oh,
so
that's
he'll
awesome.
start,
That's amazing.
He'll start
yeah, that's
like
great.
a level and he goes, well, then you can go here if you want to. And then he'll offer you another pose where perhaps there might be a hand balance thrown in, but other people might just be in the first level. And then the hand balancers can, you know, throw a little hand balance in there, and
everyone gets to play.
Oh, that's
everyone
awesome.
Gets to play.
That's awesome.
I think it shouldn't really be about coming to this festival to be good at something or to come with sort of fear. It should be about, you know, playing and expressing yourself.
Move, learn, and play.
Yeah.
Move, learn, and play.
Which is awesome. I mean, when you really think about it, it is an awesome concept. And I think I think anyone could benefit from something like this. I mean, honestly, that's why go ahead. What?
I was just going to say, no, I read something, I can't remember where I read it and I'll have to find it and tag it in the notes, but it was something like when you're learning something new, if it's through like a play scenario, it takes about 10 to 20 times like for you to repeat it and really learn it if it's in that play scenario. But if it's in like a structured, like
linear
skill, like repetition thing. Yeah, like it takes you a lot longer. I think it was over maybe like 100 times or something that you would have to kind of practice that skill to really learn it. But if it's in a play scenario, you're a lot quicker to adapt it, which is just, it makes sense because that's how kids learn. And you look at like they're little sponges, you know, in the beginning, and it's all through play.
It's interesting.
Figuring things out.
It's interesting, Meg, because you know how you were talking earlier about the nervous system?
Right.
And I've been like taking sessions with Reese here, and he's been doing a lot of breath work in his sessions. And I found it really helped me then when I'm calm to actually try some things that Reese knows I was really quite fearful to attempt.
Inversions, and going upside down,
like on the rings.
On the rings, yes.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And,
and
skin the cat.
Skin the cat.
Skin the cat. He taught me skin the cat.
Yes.
Yeah. And then do all this kind of nervous system relaxation work, so the breath.
Yes.
And then you try again, and at the end, I'm just like, you know, going upside down and laughing. And
the breath works. The breath works. That's awesome.
So, yeah. And that's so funny. That's something I kind of experienced recently with I've gotten into climbing out here. And that is the biggest thing when you're up on the wall, because you do like, and you talk about the rings and getting upside down, there's an element of fear, right? Now I'm in an uncomfortable position because I don't know necessarily where's my right hand at this moment, where's my left leg, you know, like everything's inverted and you're out of the norm, you're out of where you normally are. And so being up on a wall and climbing and, you know, not attached to anything, the breath is the biggest key to staying calm and staying focused and being able to, you know, continue to move or to hold or to come down. So the breath is such a big part of targeting that nervous system that can allow you the time to navigate some of those movement situations and scenarios and understand that you are safe.
Yes.
Out doing something outside of your comfort zone.
I feel the breath helps us get in the zone, whatever the zone, to just absorb, learn, be present in the movement that we're doing, be present in the workout that we're in. I feel that especially when people are moving, right? Everyone knows about mind-body connection. Everyone knows that when we are moving, that our mind plays a role in that. And whether we are connected to that present moment and we're in the zone, then things like, for example, pain, if you see someone dancing and they say when the music hits you, you don't feel any pain. It's the same as flowing. It's flow in your movement. When the flow hits, you've skipped the pain response completely. And I feel the breath is a great way to help that flow. So to anyone coming to Yalla Move, just check your breath.
And you actually kick off the festival actually with your breath work.
Yes, I'll be kicking off the festival in the morning with an energizing breathwork session. So we will be exploring a lot of different concepts with the breathing to connect to your breath, and it will be a great complement to any other workshops that you are looking to go to throughout the day. So,
and then Summer does his coordination.
Yes. And Summer, we mentioned some of our workshops, and Summer, he is a young Kuwaiti man who also studied under the fighting monkey as well. So he'll be doing some coordination work if you want to get your footwork and your upper body patterning correct, moving together.
That's pretty cool.
That stuff is really fun, especially if it's coming from the fighting monkey background.
Yes.
That is incredible. It's hands down my favorite part of the fighting monkey like curriculum, I guess. That'll teach you a lot about your relationship to frustration, because you'll watch some of these moves and coordinating and stuff, and you're just like, what the hell? Like, it's mind blowing. But if you can just kind of, there's a lot of visualization that goes in with that. If you can visualize yourself doing it, it's kind of really cool that mind muscle connection. There's a big element to that when it comes to the coordinations. And what's really interesting about the background of what Samar learned through Fighting Monkey is I think they took two different dance groups. They have a dance background. The teachers, Joseph and Linda, and they have two different dance groups. And I remember him saying that with one of the groups, they had broken down all the steps like one by one and had shown everybody. And then the other group, they only demoed and it was like full speed. And the other group just had to like learn and pick it up. And when it came time to learning other movements and dances and routines and choreography down the road, the group that struggled in the beginning using only having the demos, they far exceeded the other group that was shown everything like step by step. So the coordination one is
get that clear, what you just said, there was two groups, and one of the groups could only learn by keeping up with the person teaching.
Yeah, just a demo. Like the teacher would just demo and they just had to struggle and figure it out. Like there was no breaking it down like 1, 2, 3, 4, or, hand, foot. And
So
the
it's a bit
other
of a
group
mind game
was broken down like step by step. And then when it came time to, later down the road, learning more complicated routines and things, the group that struggled in the beginning was the one that far exceeded. So
okay,
the coordinations workshop is a great one.
because they had to figure it out. Well, I really enjoyed what you said about visualization, because I feel as adults, we don't always get the opportunity to nourish our imagination. And as a child, nourishing the imagination is a very regular and simple thing to do. But I feel movement is a great way for people to nourish their imagination, because it is just drawing lines. It's almost drawing lines and swirls and doodling, if you would like to call it a doodle on a piece of paper, but with movement. And those patterns, I feel, have so much benefit for the imagination and the brain. So
100%. I get all my creative ideas happen when I'm moving, like in a movement session. I have to keep a journal because it's moving around. It definitely brings about
creative juices.
It helps you manage stuff. It helps you kind of process some things that you're going through. I feel like movement is has a big impact on that. Absolutely.
So looking at it though, from the athlete perspective, how's this going to make me better? The movement part, I think what you guys are talking about, the patterning and learning the patterning of my body and everything, that sounds like that could teach me a lot about my movement so that I can fix certain things. And Meg, you brought this up a few months ago, actually, in terms of when teaching people to crawl or relearning how to crawl.
Right.
It's actually quite hard when you're trying to relearn these patterns that we were kind of built with, So it's
some of the first ones we ever used.
And some of the ones that actually set the precedent to, us manipulating our body and cheating at a sport, because all pro athletes cheat. We all manipulate our bodies in different ways. So I think it's pretty cool that you go to one of these classes, you can learn how to manipulate your body a little bit differently, which is then going to have that carry over to your sport.
Yes, so, correct.
It really comes down to that mind-muscle connection that Reese was talking about earlier. And that's especially big in CrossFit and bodybuilding and those types of sports. That mind-muscle connection is huge, especially when you want to sacrifice a little bit of, quality maybe sometimes for speed or for the max out rep or things like that. You're going to want that little extra boost of that mind muscle connection of really trusting your body and that nervous system to continue forth with whatever sport you're going into. And the coordination one is huge for if you're into something, like team sports and things like that. I think the coordination one is definitely big if you're looking to interact with other players, I guess, on the same field.
Oh, without a doubt. Like a soccer player? Are you kidding me? A footballer?
Oh, yeah.
It's
huge.
Yeah, huge. That's a huge advantage, to any athlete in a, basketball, football, baseball, even all these sports. You can benefit from learning your movement patterns and patterning from it.
Yes.
And especially the breath work beforehand. I mean, I think you guys got a slam dunk of an event going on. In all honesty, like in my opinion, like from an athletic perspective, from a sports perspective, if I was still coaching kids, because I'm not coaching this year, but if I was still coaching kids in baseball, I'd be like, all right, go to this event because they're kids. They'll probably learn more from this than an adult would. No offense to the adults, but
I think on a small scale, Reese, it's kind of like the Soul Fest that B Cafe put on last year in April. And you and I had partnered up for a little movement section. And it started off with like a couple people kind of being into it. And then it was like, once I saw how much fun everybody was having, I mean, the whole entire space was filled. The whole festival
just joined into this movement games.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
Literally, Meg and I, we just brought like a pack of dominoes and we brought some tennis balls with some Jenga blocks. It wasn't dominoes.
Yeah.
And Jenga
blocks and a couple of tennis balls.
Tennis balls with some string on there. Ooh, everyone was attracted to whatever vibe we were bringing, which was amazing. And play is so important. So definitely.
So where are you guys hosting the event?
Al Shahid Park.
Okay, nice.
We'll be hosting
space.
a great space, huge space that we have there. We have it for the whole day. And
we have a lunch break, and we just spoke to one of the cafes at the park to see if they could maybe have some more vegan options on their menus, and they're going to look into that. But so basically people would then go and get their
there's
lunch.
Loads of cafes and stuff around the park for people to pop into.
Yeah. So we were just,
Cool.
So that's really cool. So now what's your vision of this moving forward? Like, what's your vision of Yalla Move in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5, 10 years from now?
Well, we'd like to grow it, hopefully get some sponsorship, bring more movers from overseas, and hopefully, be able to run multi-sessions at the same time. So it becomes like a real festival, when people are looking at the program and go, shall I go to this or shall I go to that?
Yeah, multiple classes at the same time.
Yeah, so,
That would be amazing. Also, to have it for maybe 3-4 days on a trot. So it's a whole festival experience where people would even fly in from around the Gulf to come to this festival that's happening for 3-4 days in Kuwait. And Kuwait is known for the movement festival every year. Boom, 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 boom. In the Khaliji
awesome.
region.
That's awesome. That sounds like that's a good little vision right there.
You guys are going to give the battle a run for its money.
I know, right? Thank God. Hey, by then I'll probably be in calisthenics anyways. Yes. That's pretty sweet, though. That's pretty cool. That's a good idea, especially with Shahid Park. I mean, teaming up with them, you guys got a hell of a venue. So,
got a huge venue.
We've got space for 250 people, Mac.
All right, put me in for year 2 then, guys.
Yes. You're in, Meg. You're in.
That's awesome.
So what can our listeners do to kind of help grow this event? Like, what can we do? Listeners, us as the podcast, how can we help out?
Come and buy a ticket and move with us, and know that your ticket money actually is going to a good cause, because the proceeds we're going to donate to a amazing initiative in Uganda called Masaka Kids Africana. And it's an orphanage in Uganda. They provide shelter, medical care, and education, but they also teach the kids how to dance. And if you go to their Instagram at Masaka Kids Africana, you just watch the videos. Those kids can dance.
They can really move. They can move and shake.
The ticket money is going to go to a good cause, and I think it's going to be a fun event. And if you come, the more people, better vibe. We want to create a bit of a buzz.
Yes. So definitely, if you are a person that feels that you can move yourself, invite your friends, maybe your children's friends, but it's any age. Any age can really benefit from coming. So the more people, the better.
That's awesome. And you guys, your Instagram is Yalla Move Kuwait.
Yes.
Right?
Yalla Move
and
Kuwait.
People can get in touch with you there. They can repost from Yalla Move Kuwait.
They can
definitely do all of that. And that all definitely helps the cause, right? Because the more we get the word out there, the more people are going to show up.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're selling tickets through Eventat, and the link is in the bio.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Okay. And how much
are the tickets?
Well, at the moment, it's early bird. So it's 12 KD. And with that day ticket, you can go to all the sessions. And after early bird sells out, the price goes up. There's a first and there's a second release.
Okay.
So get your early bird.
So jump on the early bird tickets?
Jump on the early bird.
All right. Hopefully this episode, when does the early bird end? I'm hoping the episode doesn't, because the episode is going to air in a week. So a week or 2, maybe. Like, I'm going to get it out before the 12th, definitely.
This is a plan.
Yeah. So everybody hope that the early bird's still on there.
Yes.
And if you don't get the early bird deal, that's my fault.
Well, even if you don't get the early bird, it's very accessible. Yeah. Like, a first release is going to be 14 KD and the second release is going to be 16 KD.
Oh, that's awesome.
So if you're going to go
to... talking 8 workshops, that's a steal.
It's a steal.
Yeah. You go to any other gym, you're paying 10 KD a workshop, so that's 80 KD.
You're paying 25 KD a workshop, probably.
25? I go to a cheap gym, man. I got to switch up.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Amazing.
But that's great, guys. Thanks for the info. I think hopefully this thing will take off, and we're going to do everything that we can from the project side to help support the event. And hopefully we'll be there, definitely looking forward to it. Maybe podcasting.
Oh yes, please.
Hopefully,
I'll be living vicariously through you guys.
Yeah,
so
Meg, we're gonna invite you on FaceTime.
Don't look at my experience, Maddie.
I'll try not to, Meg. All right. I'll definitely.
I'm super proud of you guys, Reese. I think it's awesome. Reem, I think what you guys are doing is so cool. So I'm really
wish you could be here.
I really wish I could be there, but next year would definitely love to come and support.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us on today.
Thanks for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. You can also find us on Instagram at The Project Kuwait. Thank you, and join us next time.